Good morning, good morning, good morning. Peace and blessings, everybody. It's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. And I'm back with another visual for y'all. Some commentary to chop it up. Been gone for a while. So, man, let's get into it, man. Peace and blessings, everybody. Top of the morning. Happy Tuesday. Man, it's been a ball, man. You know, this weekend was very eventful for me. Was trying to help my son find some employment. Got some good leads, So trying to get him a job for the summer. And that's one thing about it, man. Being a man and being an alpha male, strong, we're trying to raise strong men in this society is, it's a challenge. You know what I'm saying? Because I think back, my father, my grandfather, they was very strong men. You know what I'm saying? So I like to think that they raised me to be a strong man. And as the title says, I'm trying to get my son on, I think he's doing great. You know what I'm saying? But as the title says, the Democrats spending $20 million on what? So I say all that to say this, man. The Democratic Party is spending $20 million on a study to try to get young men back to the Democratic Party, man. Yes, it's insane. The policies that the Democrats have been championing have pushed away a lot of men, especially young men that's coming up. They are leaning more conservative, as they used to be the party for the working class, so they say, right? But all of that has changed since Donald Trump has got back into his second term. It's just the image of a strong man, regardless if they white, black, young men are resonating with the message and the policies of the Trump administration. The Democratic Party, man, they want men and women's sports. If you too masculine, they call it toxic. So young men ain't really rocking with the Democrats like that. But they actually trying to spend money to try to figure out $20 million on a study on how they could get men back to the Democratic Party, man. Hey, if you don't believe me, just watch, man. This is insane. I mean, the Democrats have been taking so many L's. It ain't even funny at this point, man. But let's get to it, man.
Male voters last election, Democrats are spending $20 million to learn how to speak their language. You heard it, $20 million just to talk to boys. So is this a good idea or a waste of money? What do you think?
Well, I think it's the wrong way to go about the problem, because the Democrats are asking, how do we get male voters? The disillusionment of men is, how do we care better about our men and boys? Like, it should be about how we solve the root problems that drove men and to feel like they had nowhere to go. You don't say, how do we reverse produce it to get a vote? It's a waste of money, and it's a vapid approach at a real problem. Do what Governor Wes Moore is doing right now. He's directing his administration to implement targeted solutions to uplift men and boys. That's going after the statistics. And when he was here on our show, he said, the data speaks for itself. This isn't an opinion. So look at data and solve problems. Don't try to solve elections by reverse producing votes. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, nothing says authenticity like spending $20 million to pay consultants and strategists and focus groups to tell you how to talk to a certain audience. It specifically says to study the syntax, language, and content that gains attention and virality in these male spaces. Like, what made Joe Rogan or Theo Vaughn or some of these manosphere guys huge was there's a level of authenticity. I've listened to a lot of both of them. I don't agree with a lot of what they say, but there's an entertainment value, and there's this is just somebody shooting the you know what. It's not this like structured hyper, I have to think about what I'm going to say, I have to consider it 20 different ways, focus group it and test it. And I think that's where what Democrats are missing is there's like some sort of an authenticity problem that they have. But I also would note Joe Rogan was a Bernie bro. Democrats actually lost Joe Rogan. They had their own Joe Rogan and then alienated him with policies. And the most common things that I hear from men who came around to supporting Trump and maybe were open to other alternatives was they feel like they want to be able to provide for the future and build wealth. And they don't want to be ashamed to say that they want to provide and they want to have money. And then they do see these statistics of how men are falling behind and they want to be able to highlight it and talk about it, but not be pushed back that you're saying, oh, well, you're excluding girls and women if you want to advance men. And finally, this idea that they feel like even when they're well-intentioned, they're like one misstatement away from getting canceled. Like, I think we need to have a culture that's more forgiving if people are trying their best, if they don't use the right terminology, if they don't use the right phrase, as long as their intention is there, this sort of like crazy cancel culture has really turned young people off.
Look, I don't know that you learn how to talk to men by being in a conference center at a New York hotel, holed up with strategists and experts in suits. I think people need to go into the barrios and the neighborhoods and the barber shops and the places where real people are. And I think one of the problems that the Democrats have, several of them, but one of the things is like they keep talking about how weak their brand is and how bad their team is. I never met a man, I never met a woman, I never met a human who wants to join a losing team. So maybe start projecting some, winning attitude and,
but Trump always talks about how everything was terrible, it's bad, and he keeps winning.
I don't think Trump should be the gold standard of what you're looking to do right. I don't think he's in some ways an accident of times and what we've been brought to. He was a perfect storm because what drove people to this manosphere was people were saying, it's okay to be a man, you have value. I think the language around men with toxic masculinity and things were sometimes misunderstood to make men the problem.
Yeah, but I think one of the things that's going on in the Democratic Party is that there's a lot of divergent voices. Right now, if you look at the Republican Party, there's one voice, right? It's Donald Trump and everybody else bends the knee to him and basically echoes whatever he says. On the Democratic side, you've got Bernie Sanders on an anti-oligarchy tour, and you've got Elise Sotkin from Michigan saying, don't say the word oligarch. Call them, out of touch rich people. You've got AOC talking about Latinx and Latin, and you've got Ruben Gallego, who just got elected to the Senate from Arizona, saying, can we please just call them Latina and Latinos? So I think there's a difference between how the activists talk and how some of the people who've been successful in getting the votes that they lost to Trump, but they got them statewide, talk. And so to me,
see, I'm gonna just stop that right now, man. These women are clueless. They're clueless on what men are, and what appeals to a man. See, men are, we are natural leaders. We are builders. We are innately, want to, if there's a problem, we want to fix the problem. You know what I'm saying? And the way to appeal to a real man is to let him lead. Give him the tools he needs to be successful. We don't want handouts. You see, that's what the Democratic Party represents. They want to keep you on a government assistance. They want to keep you dependent on them. We want less government. We want more, independency so we could build. We are natural protectors. You know what I'm saying? All that, we're very simple. It's simple. Give us the opportunity to build and get out our way. You know what I'm saying? And let us lead and don't ostracize us just because you deem us as toxic because we're being men. We're so often it's this society, this Me Too era, men have been pushed out. And if you look at the Democratic Party, they don't have any strong leadership. Who are the Democratic leaders of today? They just went through, ain't no real man following up Bernie Sanders. or AOC or Hakeem Jeffries. None of these people personify strength. When you look at Donald Trump, hate him or love him, that's a man. He commands attention. He's a leader, a problem solver. So I think that's what the Democrat Party don't understand. And you don't need to spend $20 million to figure that out. Your policies are the problem. You know what I'm saying? And listen, when you looked at this past election, you had a shell of a man in Joe Biden up against Donald Trump. Real men saw a weak man versus a strong man. And then you had Kamala Harris. Now, we don't have no problem with a woman in position, but you can't be cackling and pandering. Real men gonna see all through that. You know, and head of the household. In the word of God, it says God, man, woman, then child. That's the law of the Lord, the law of the land. So, you know, Kamala Harris was never going to resonate with real men in a leadership position. And it ain't because she the woman or because she black. She just didn't possess that quality of strength. You see how all the other worldly leaders are bending the knee to Trump because he asserts and exuberates that strength. That's what we need in a position like the White House. This is the strongest nation on earth. So we need somebody that's going to be in that presidential seat, that's going to be presidential and make decisions. And men, real men, we do what we want to do, and we don't care what nobody think about it. And real men resonate with Donald Trump on that. You know, so the Democratic Party, you know, your policies are out of whack. They don't align. You prioritize men that want to be women instead of men that want to be men. You know, no disrespect, but real men ain't own that. So you see young men gravitate towards conservatism, and you don't understand why. And you about to do a study and spend $20 million. Wow. But let's see what Trump think about all this, man. Let's see what Trump think about it, man. So they asked him a question about how he felt about the Democrats spending $20 million to figure out why they losing. Young man, and this is insanity, man. Let's get to it.
Democratic Party plan to avoid being swept in every battleground state again by spending $20 million to study how to speak to American men.
Well, you know, they spent 2.8 billion. We spent 1.5. We spent much less. We spent about half of what they spent, and at the end they were $28 million short. They had to be. They spent 2.8 billion. It's a lot, but they couldn't get 28 million at the end, and now they want to spend. I read that they want to spend money to learn how to talk. That's fake. You don't want to be fake. You shouldn't have to hire consultants to say what America needs, because then the consultants should be running the deal, not them. But I read that they want to spend a lot of money in each state. So we won all 7 swing states, 7 out of 7. We won a lot more than that. We won the popular vote. We won everything, and they want to spend money to find out what they did wrong. And I mean, I can tell you what they did wrong. I can tell you every one of their programs. When they say men playing in women's sports, I would say that's not a winner. When they say transgender for everybody, I think that's not a winner. When they say open borders so the entire world population of criminals can pour into our country, I don't think that's a winner. I mean, I just gave them that for free.
That Trump is spot on. You see, he just ran down a list of policies that real men are not going to resonate with. You prioritizing transgender. You leaving open borders. So when you leave open borders, that presents a danger to the community, because if you got illegal aliens here and I have to be a protector of my family, you just made it that much more difficult. Everybody ain't gonna have time to call the police and wait on 12 to pop up. So if you got dangerous people in our community that we already got danger here, we got issues with criminality already, then you couple that with open borders. So I'm gonna be the one that had to, risk my life if anything would have happened for my family. That's how real men think. So we'll never be for open borders and things of that nature. You see, Trump just ran down the list. Like, this where you went wrong with men. You know what I'm saying? That's where you went wrong with men. And he absolutely correct, man. We don't resonate with the Democratic Party no more. That's why we left. Because of that foolishness right there. Women, they don't think like that. Men are wired differently. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, that 20 million, man, you could have just, listen to what Trump told you, and there go your answer. But see, like he said, the Kamala Harris campaign spent almost $3 billion and lost in a landslide. Men don't typically misappropriate their money like that either. We're not gonna resonate with you, spending money frivolously. Like that campaign that Kamala Harris ran was it was a continuous concert. You had all these celebrities endorsing her, all these performances. What are your policies? We don't care about Megan Thee Stallion and Beyonce and all of them sit up there dancing and singing when the country and the economy. See, real men worry about prioritize the economy, national security, foreign policy. These are the things that Trump was talking about. So for any Democrat that's listening, you might want to focus in on those issues. Get you some real leadership, because right now the Democratic Party doesn't even have a true leader that you can look to and say, yeah, he has the potential to become the president. Where they at? Ooh, Jasmine Crockett, AOC, Hakeem Jeffries. Real men ain't gonna resonate with none of these people. Right? Hey, man, I'm just trying to tell you something. But I like to hear what the Five has to say about this, man. I love the Five on Fox. Let's get a little to that, what I'm saying, see what they talking about over here. Because, it's always good to get different points of view.
Buy the Democrats some street cred with the cool kids. Well, they certainly hope so. The party is spending big to win back those Joe Rogan-loving men who flocked to President Trump. Apparently, Tim Walz doing manly things like fixing cars and pheasant hunting didn't quite resonate. And according to the New York Times, Democrats are dropping $20 million on a new project. It's called Codenamed Sam, short for Speaking with American Men, a strategic...
Now look at this. They didn't name the thing Sam, Speaking with American Men, a strategic plan and promises investment to study the syntax language. Y'all got to spend $20 million to try to understand men? Ooh, snap. Hey, the Democratic Party, man, is on the ropes right now, man. They on the ropes.
Plan, and it promises investment to study the syntax, language, and content that gains attention and virality in these spaces. I do not know why they spent $20 million on it. It recommends buying advertisements in video games, amongst other things. But can you actually buy authenticity? This Democratic strategist apparently does think it's possible.
If you dig in on what Democrats are researching right now, you're going to find a lot of silly stuff. You're going to find people asking a lot of questions, people asking about syntax and do I drop the G from this word and this and that? And it's going to be a lot of that. So let me just warn everybody, that process is going to be very obnoxious. We're really talking about young men, right? Young men who Democrats have not figured out a consistent pitch for how to get in front of. And I think it starts with authenticity. Stop creating purity tests for people because they don't agree with you 8 or 9, 10 times.
Right. But getting young guns back on Team Democrat is just one piece of the rebrand puzzle. Barack Obama's former chief of staff, Rahm Emanuel, is calling his party's brand weak and woke as speculation mounts that he'll run for president in 2028. And Rahm's not the only one with ideas on how Democrats can win again.
The Democrats have forgot that maybe we should just talk to people like people. We don't need to do studies on it. We don't need to meet at hotels. How about we just go to community meetings? And
is not the question of what the party's image is, but is what does the party stand for? If the party takes positions on issues that are weak and woke, it will seem weak and woke.
Yeah, I don't think nationally the Democratic brand helps very much anyway. I mean, anywhere. If it did, we wouldn't have lost to Donald Trump twice.
Well, Harold, it's great to be back around the table.
Good to be with you. I'm glad you're
Do
back.
Democrats love to just waste money?
I hope everybody had a good weekend. I don't think Democrats are wasting money on this effort if the effort is organized and designed right. I think if the effort is trying to come up.
It's a 20 million bro study. Oh, snap, man. Listen. Before you get off into that, check this out, man. I just thought about something, man. Like doing that campaign prior to Donald Trump's campaign, another thing men resonate with is overcoming obstacles, right? We saw Donald Trump get targeted by the judicial system. We saw them drag him through the mud, through the court system, and come out clean, unscathed. We've seen Donald Trump, men resonate with overcoming tough obstacles. We seen Donald Trump almost be assassinated. And then on national television, with blood dripping down his face, stood up and pumped his fist and said, fight, fight, fight. Men resonate, real men resonate with that. We seen Donald Trump do, on average, 2 rallies a day. Sometimes every day, go hard. We resonate with hard work. You know, we resonate with, if you want it, you go get it. And Donald Trump came back and got that presidency. He struggled for it. They called him a convict. They dogged him all in the media. They had his mugshot. He turned his mugshot, which was supposed to be a spit in the face, he took lemons and made lemonade and sold the shirt and made millions off that mugshot. Real men resonate with going through barriers and coming out on top. You understand? That's what real men resonate. The Democrats ain't got nothing like that over there. So ain't no 20 million broke study that you could come up with. We wired different. You feel me? We just wired different. Let's continue.
Come up with new words or words that you think will appeal to people, then it will be a waste of money. If the exercise is to try to figure out how you develop and implement an affordability agenda for every working American, be they middle-class Americans, wealthy Americans, Americans trying to enter and graduate into the middle class. If the effort is to find ways in which to show that not investing in critical research, not investing in things that so many of our universities, from the University of Florida to Harvard University to the University of Michigan, are engaged in that are making the world a safer place, America a safer place and healthier place. If the focus is there, then you begin to try to populate words around that agenda that will resonate and connect with voters. That's one thing. But if you're only looking to trying to find words that may make you seem more masculine or may make you seem more manly, I'm using the terminology they're using, I think not only will you not persuade voters, you'll just continue to confuse yourself. So affordability, what's going to make America stronger and smarter over the next 25, 50 years, and what's going to make our national security better. If we figure that out first, then you can develop the words and the language that can help you convey that, but not in reverse order. Then it would be a waste of money.
So I think, Jesse, what he's saying, and get your comment, is basically you have to know what you stand for before you decide what you're going to say about it.
Right. It's like hiring Don Draper for an ad campaign for a product that doesn't even exist. Usually the commercial happens after you have a new product. Harold is the only real man left in the Democrat Party. Democrats should save 20 mil and watch The Five for free. Democrat men are afraid of offending minorities and women and the woke snobs. And the voters are like dogs. We smell fear, and it's just all over the Democrat process. Saying the right thing doesn't matter. It's about doing the right thing. Democrats need to figure out what the right thing is and then do it instead of trying to trick men into believing they're doing the right thing for the wrong reasons. Remember when they couldn't define what a woman was? Now they're trying to define what a man is. It's like an anthropologist studying the uncontacted tribes of the Amazon jungle. Except Democrats aren't even flying to Brazil. They're paying other people to listen to Rogan. There's the NBA playoffs going on. We just finished with football. They've been talking about going to sports. I haven't seen them in a single game. They're not even putting in the work that needs to be done. Males are half the voting population. Whites are like 2/3 of the country. I mean, these are large blocks of voters that they have no idea how to deal with. Bottom line, men don't like to be controlled. We don't like being told what we can't say, what vaccines we have to be putting in our body, what cars to drive, what food to eat. And if they ever find a liberal Rogan, they're going to control them. They're going to tell them what topics not to do, what guests not to have. It's going to be the same thing. And they're admitting by this stupid study for 20 mil that the legacy media has no real men in it. They've run them all out. They've fired them. You can't be a real man and go on the Today Show. All the rest of them are henpecked or women on these legacy media platforms. That's what they should try to figure out because the infrastructure is already there.
So, Greg, this is not my favorite genre of all time. This is
My bad. I was muted. But yeah, that man said a mouthful. You know what I'm saying? And real men don't like to be dictated to. We don't like to be told what to say and how to, how we got to tiptoe around, what your feelings is. Nah, real men just say what's on their mind. Like I was saying when I first started this video with my dad and my granddad, you know what I'm saying? They were real men. They didn't care about your feelings. They said what they said. And this soft, sensitive culture now has shunned real manhood. And it's mainly the Democratic Party. The Republican too, you got a lot of on both ends. But mainly the Democratic Party has gotten too woke, too sensitive about your feelings because you choose to be whatever you want to be. whatever your gender or whatever your sexuality. I'm not saying real men are offensive or try to be offensive. They should be respectful. But at the same time, we deserve respect too. We deserve acknowledgement too. The Democratic Party has forgotten about men, unless they sassy. You know what I'm saying? They don't even have any policies for young men to be interested in, you know? And I want to bring up, you know, I love this brother content, a Black conservative perspective, and let's hear what he has to say about this issue. You know, so shout out to Black conservative perspective. Let's go.
So it is just unbelievable how untalented Tim Walz is, right? He is, again, one of the worst politicians that I've ever seen. I'm still wondering how in the world did the citizens of Minnesota elect this guy to be their governor. But I want you guys just to notice what Tim Walz said there, right? Because this is a theme within the Democrat Party. They continue to tell themselves over and over and over again that no.
Now, Tim Walz was about to be our vice president. Look at this sassy dude, man. He was going to be the vice president instead of J.D. Vance. Had Kamala Harris. Oh, my God, Kamala Harris, the president. With this dude as the vice president, could you imagine him and Kamala Harris going to these other worldly countries like Saudi Arabia, breaking deals and trying to get Putin and Zelensky on one accord? And man, these dudes would have got ate up trying to go over there talking to them people, man. You need real leadership, man. This is not real leadership.
No. It's not our policies. Our policies are not the problem. No, it's our messaging, right? It's the way that we present ourselves. It's not the actual policies, right? It's not the things that we believe in as a party, okay? And the effect that they have on men. No, it's not that. It has to be, we're just not talking to them right? We got to entertain them, right? This is what he's saying, which again is extremely offensive in my opinion, right? Because essentially what they're assuming either one or two things, right? That men are too stupid to understand the nuances of policy, right? Which again is what you're implying there when you say, well, it's not the policy, or that men or young men agree with the Democrat policies, which is also a very bad assumption, right? I mean, basically what they're saying is that, well, the reason why men are voting conservatively, right? They're voting for Republicans more is because, well, they're actually liberal, right? They're actually liberal. They just don't know that they're liberal, right? Like this is essentially what they're saying, okay? Like, think about that video that went viral of the Democrat Party influencer claiming that, well, no, you don't understand. Conservative men are actually liberal. They like BLM, gay marriage, and abortion.
Well, I also think it's just so abundantly clear that the people who say these things don't actually spend time talking to young men. You know this because we know each other in real life, but I spend a lot of time on college campuses. And I spend a lot of time with
young men.
I love young men. I love frat guys. And in that, I realized, like, even the ones that identify as conservative are almost always pro-choice. They're almost always pro-gay marriage. You'd be surprised at the number of them who supported Black Lives Matter. And so I feel like people just kind of lump them into this box when the truth is, again, a lot of them are with us on the issues. They're just not part of our coalition because they feel like they're not welcomed in it.
This must be the most popular iSmart watch on the market right now. With it, there's no need.
Yeah, so what you're seeing here, guys, is the Democrat Party delude themselves, right? That's what they're doing. These people just refuse to accept any possibility that it's their policies, which is the reason why men or young men are not supporting the Democrat Party. They just don't want to accept that, right? They just don't want to change, right? They don't want to change who they are as a party. Instead, they want to tell themselves that, no, you don't understand. The men are just too dumb. They're just too dumb to understand the policy. Or that, well, they are just secretly liberal. They just don't realize it, right? They just don't understand. So we got to talk to them in a different way. We got to make them realize that no, you do support, gay marriage and BLM and abortions. You do like these things. And when that fails, right? When that fails, it never comes back to the policy. It always goes to, well, they must just be sexist, right? They have to be sexist. This is the reason why men or young men don't want to support the Democrat Party.
But I think it's a waste.
Exactly, man. We could stop that right there, man. I'm just saying, man. It's insulting, right? They continuously insult us on the Democratic side, man. Right? Like, to say that you need to go get $20 million to put together a study to figure out what's wrong with men and why we leaving the Democratic Party. I would argue that the Democratic Party left us. They left us before we ever left them. And add insult to injury. I mean, just remember when Barack Obama came out during the campaign trying to scold black men. Like, y'all need to go ahead and come back to the Democratic Party. And like, dude, how you gonna tell us how we should vote? And see, it's this constant belittling. You just gonna push real men away. And that's exactly what happened, man. And you see it with the younger men. You know what I'm saying? That's conservative, that's heterosexual, that love women, that identify with being a masculine man. And for them to even come up with a term called toxic masculinity, and see, we seeing the pendulum swing back toward champion real manhood. You know what I'm saying? And I love it. Just with the leadership is setting the tone. And man, shout out to Donald Trump for that. You know what I'm saying? Because he came in the game. Hey, it's two genders, male and female. Now you can do what you want to do, but we ain't doing all this, different genders and stuff like that. We going by what God said. And I think that that's setting the tone for the rest of society. And let's be clear, man. When we think about the word of God and how far the Democratic Party has gotten away from it, it's alarming. You know what I'm saying? It's alarming. All these policies about just different issues with pro-choice, and now I don't have a dog in that fight, but just the policies of the Democrats at this point is like in total opposition. I remember when Kamala Harris was at a rally giving her speech, and somebody yelled out, "God is king," or something like that, and she told him, "You at the wrong rally." That was crazy. So when you see strong men, hardworking men that get up, blue collar, and work hard 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day, they not finna resonate with the Democratic Party. They just not. And ain't no 20 million study gonna do it. But hey, what say you? It's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. We love y'all. And until next time, we'll speak to you soon. Peace and blessings.